to Wholesale Hotline, where we cover everything to do with wholesale real estate. I'm Jamil Damji.
I'm Brent Daniels.
And I am Pace Morby.
And together we cover the most important parts of wholesale real estate.
Lead generation.
Conversion of sellers into contracts.
And dispositions. Guys, remember when you're watching this show, do us a favor and squad up in the comments.
Make sure that you are liking and subscribing to the YouTube channels and in the Facebook group Wholesale Hotline.
Most important, we want to know we're doing a great job for you and helping you build your business. So go give us a review on iTunes and or Spotify.
So squad up and enjoy the show!
Welcome to Wholesale Hotline number 111. Oh boy.
What's up?
Come on.
How you doing?
We're starting with a little bit of enthusiasm here, but I want to start with this because I think it's going to go perfect with the topic of the show, which is working with real estate agents to find incredible deals, something that you've been doing for years, something that we've all been doing for years, but something that you've really, really made a huge impact in the industry with really getting loud about the specific techniques on having to do that.
Yes.
And we've got my incredible co-host of the Millionaire Before 30 show that I do every Thursday, Ryan Zolan, which will pop on here in a minute. Wait just a second. But I want to talk to Pace here for a second because, Pace, you're very familiar with what I'm about to talk about next. I just watched from the Family Mastermind. It's a mastermind that we've been involved in with a bunch of real estate investing coaches and content creators and the people that put together a lot of the apps. And I just watched the Robert Allen one from the last one, right, Pace? And he was talking about his story about the challenge that he did, something that you're getting into as well. But the challenge that he did where he said that he was putting out ads that he can go into any town and get a deal within 72 hours without any money. So the LA Times was like, called him on it. They're like, oh, really? Oh, you really want to do this? Well, why don't you do this? Why don't we pick a place? I'm going to put this reporter with you, and you go out and you go find these deals. Well, to kind of skip to it, he found 7 deals within 72 hours, but I thought it was very, very, very interesting how he was able to do that. Do you remember the story on how he did it, Pace? How he was able
I tell
to
that
get
story
those
weekly,
deals?
and it takes me 20 minutes to tell the story because it's one of my favorite stories.
Right. Do you what's that? Give us the punchline on how he found the opportunities.
What he actually did is he called real estate agents who had listed properties. And he just said, hey, I'm looking for a quality piece of real estate. I'm new to town and I'm looking for something that I can put $0 down with. What he actually did, there's the way I've talked to him personally about these 7 deals.
Yep.
Some of them, he actually got into them with no money. And some of them he got into with some money, but he went and got private lenders to cover that down payment.
Right.
But all 7 of them came from real estate agents.
And not only that, but I think the important thing is that I got out of it. He was standing in the lobby of a very famous hotel. He wasn't staying there. He was just making calls from there saying, hey, I'm calling from here. And he was using a payphone that
he started out with a payphone. Yeah.
He cold called all day long. And he said he talked to hundreds of real estate agents. He called everybody that had a for sale by owner. Back then it was in the newspapers because this is like 1970 something or early 1980s. And he was finding all these opportunities and he was just calling and just saying, hey, listen, I'm new in town. I need to buy a good property and I have no money to put down. Can you help me? And then finally, somebody that had a Burr property, they had already pulled out all their equity from it, was like, yeah, I'll let you buy this on terms. I already got all my money out of this deal because I bought it ugly. I fixed it up and I've got all of my money back out of it. And so he sold it to Robert Allen on terms, and then they did that 7 times. Isn't that crazy?
The first one he bought was subject to. There was a handful of them he bought seller finance. What happened was LA Times gave him $100.
Yes.
He had $100. So the first thing he did is he walked over to a hot dog stand and he broke the change on a hot dog.
To
And
make
what
the
he
call.
did is he then got a roll of dimes, because back then that was, dropping a dime. That was very literal back in those times.
Yep.
He was calling on the payphone, like you said, in the hotel lobby, and he goes, holy crap, I'm making a lot of calls and I'm burning through money really fast. So what he did is he went and shacked up for the night with the reporter who was tailing him.
Yep.
And they split a $17 hotel bill.
Yeah.
In the red light district. He made the reporter come up with $8.50 for the hotel bill. And what he did is he kept making phone calls from from the phone in the actual hotel room. Now at this point, he's got a free room, right? Or free phone call.
Yep.
And he gets a call like 9:30 at night, 10 o'clock at night from a real estate agent saying, hey, here you go. The reporter was in such disbelief. It took them the next morning when they met the seller and the real estate agent. The reporter took about an hour to vet the seller just to make sure that Robert hadn't planted this seller, because the reporter was in such disbelief. Like, how is this possible that you just did this? And so anyway, they signed the contract. They do all this stuff right in front of the reporter. And the reporter says, you did it, man. You freaking, I was so excited to come and report so I could basically rub your face in shit. Like, I was so excited for you to fail, and you trumped everybody. You convinced me, man. I'm a believer. Let's go home. I'm going to call the LA Times, get us an airplane. Let's go home. And Robert Allen says, I have 54 more hours.
Yeah. He said, is it a better story if you lose bigger? Is it okay that you lost a little, or is it better to lose bigger? He goes, because I could get a lot more deals.
Right.
And he's, that'd be a better story if you got more deals. If I lost big, then that would be a better story.
So Saul says, is it a book? No, unfortunately, it's not a book. The book, actually, the name of the book was Zero Down or Nothing Down.
Yep.
And when he wrote this book, the LA Times challenged him, and they said, this creative finance stuff isn't possible. Nobody can do this. This is such crap. And Robert then challenged him. They had this real-time story. Then here's what happened. This is one of the greatest stories. This is what got me into like challenges and like putting myself into weird situations, was Robert G. Allen. He goes around the country because now everybody wants him to talk on stage. He starts going around the whole world. And then about a year after his like blow up, because he's now in the LA Times says, real estate investor accepts the LA Times challenge and wins. And dude, he blew up. The dude blew up. He's on every news outlet. He's all over the world. People in China paying him money to speak on stages. About a year after his world tour, people start saying, well, yeah, of course Robert Allen can do this. Of course Al can do this. Anybody just coming off the street can't do this.
Mm-hmm.
And so he went and wrote the book called The Challenge, which I have a signed copy from Robert Allen of The Challenge, where he took 5 people out of freaking homelessness. Soup lines. And no, it wasn't soup lines. It's like picking up the check. What do they call that?
A welfare check. The welfare. Spot.
So they were in line to get a welfare check, and he took 5 random people out of the welfare line and made them real estate investors, and basically after 30 days, they all had done deals and they had $7,500 in their pocket. Oh, look at that. Somebody got in.
Pace. You got spoofed.
I got spoofed. Like it. That's awesome.
Man,
I like it. Picasso. Anyway, it's a great story.
Too famous. Just getting too famous.
Stupid.
Oh boy. You're getting fake accounts, and there's
joys.
Yeah, there you go. So Vince Mayer says, I knew about this because he did it in St. Louis, where I'm from. I didn't know the specifics. So he wrote the book called The Challenge, and he took 5 people. It's a real story. And I've met one of the people. They're 4 of them are still alive. One of them's passed away, but I've met one of them in person, and they still are friends with Robert G. Allen to this day. Very, very good stuff.
Incredible.
But getting to it, just to crack this show open, we're talking about working with real estate agents. We're talking about on-market deals.
Yes.
We're talking about a 24 years old,
a young man, a
24-year-old phenom that has built over $1 million net worth.
Yep.
Started at 19 years old and instantly knew that he needed to get into higher level rooms,
Right.
higher level discussions, higher level. And I think it started with Templeton Walker, and then met with that incredible crew, and then and worked. I think he was the first.
He was one of the first students for Astro student. Yeah.
Astro flipping. So
he walked into the office. Actually, he bought the course in person.
yeah,
That never happens.
right.
He walked in, sat down, and I looked at him and I was like, "Yo, do you shave?" And
There he is.
There he is.
Ryan. Welcome. Welcome. He's growing a little beard. That's nice. That is nice.
incredible. Good to see you, Ryan.
Yeah.
So you guys know that my business,
Mm-hmm.
which is now called Keeglee,
Mm-hmm.
was founded on this principle of leveraging and working with real estate agents.
Yes.
That's how we roll. That's what we do. And I believe it's a hack. I think that when you are working with realtors and you do it with systems, with intention, correctly,
Mhm.
you know the right words, you know the ways to approach it, you know the vernacular, you know the things that are going to be hangups for them, you know the things that they're going to be okay with, not okay with. When you do this in a way where you navigate the maze of working with agents, you create a pipeline of ongoing deals.
Yep.
See, it doesn't end with one deal with a realtor. It can be a lifelong relationship and, a friendship like I have with Monique Walker, which has spanned near a decade
Right.
and has turned into millions of dollars in revenues. And so Ryan has taken this philosophy and doubled down on it and just went ham. And it's really
Well, what are you at so far this year, Ryan, for closings?
Well, we're at like 1.3.
1.3 million
Yeah.
in revenue?
Yeah.
that's since January, since
Right.
the beginning of
No,
January.
that's with flips. That's with flips, wholesale, traditional. Obviously, we teach how to get the commission and a wholesale fee. So like last week, I mean, we pulled like 55, 60K in deals just off of commission and wholesale fees.
Awesome. So let's crack this thing open. Let's talk to us about what you do on a daily basis, what your team does on a daily basis for lead generation.
Yeah. So our KPIs are 5 offers a day, where we go into the MLS and we're submitting 5 offers where they're written offers to the listing agent or having them represent us and submit the offer for us to the seller. And then we are also talking to, the goal is about 50 realtors a day. And those are really the 2 most important KPIs. The 50 realtors a day, you're going to just come across your 1 to 3 realtors every single month that are going to consistently be able to bring you opportunities. That's where Jamil was referring to, like a Monique Walker. That's a 1 of 1. You're looking for a Walmart version of that, where they could come in and bring you 5, 10 opportunities that are actual opportunities a month, and basically knowing that it's actually going to turn to 1 to 2. So
Right. Even if an agent gives you 2 or 3 deals a year,
A lifetime.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
More than most sellers.
it's an incredible relationship. Del Rounds, rest in peace, was one of Phoenix's prolific agents who mainly did luxury retail sales. I was very good friends with Del, and I bought a lot of houses from Del. Any of the ones that were garbage, gross, dated, original condition houses, I was his first call.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until he passed away that our relationship ended, right? And so, but I'm talking about near 8 years of doing deals with the same agent. Now, he wouldn't give me a ton of them. We weren't doing a deal a month.
Sure.
We were doing 3 a year, but that was still $100,000 or
6
more.
figures, one person.
One person. I mean, I don't know a single list. I don't know any list that will pay like that.
Unless you find if you find an investor that has multiple deals,
Correct.
and they have to be really beat up, and they have to be really
A
motivated.
landlord list might get you a situation
Right.
like that. A landlord list, because you're dealing with an investor.
But it doesn't happen year after year after year.
No,
after
it's
year.
not a recurring thing. Where with agents, it's a recurring thing. And Ryan, you're taking your philosophy and you've created a system, a structure, so that you can show and teach people how to do this, right?
Absolutely. Yep. It's it was kind of just burning a hole inside me, watching everybody go out there and feel like they have to compete with guys like Jamil Damji and Brett Daniels in Phoenix, where there's just so much competition in this direct to seller market that you could truly go and work with agents and come across, I mean, honestly, 10 to 20 deals a month.
And you said 50 realtors a day you're talking to, is that right?
Yeah.
Is that contacts? Is that new
contacts?
realtors?
It's not like just 50 you're calling. If they don't answer, you move on to the next. You have 50 conversations. Now, it could be a mixture of inbound versus outbound, where it's like Facebook posts and cold calling. But yeah, 50 is the goal.
Yeah. How are you using social media to help this?
That's the cheat sheet. I mean, I always say inbound is going to be better than your outbound. And especially if you could have a realtor that's hungry enough to go find the next client, this is the most important part to understand. The hardest part for a real estate agent is actually finding a client. It's not about finding the deal. The hardest part for the investor is finding the deal. So if you could bridge the gap between the two of them and make them understand that as a realtor, you could be their best client. Remember, realtors are used to appraisals, inspection periods where they're going to come in and prepare for this to be a primary home. They're expecting conventional loans where it's going to be a 30-day process, and they hope they don't buy a car in the middle of the 30 days. You're 10 days cash as is, no appraisal. You are the ideal buyer in their box. So just go in and obviously find a way to bring value to them. Don't play a bunch of games where you're just going in and saying, hey, I want you to submit all these offers, and then just ghost them or have them send you properties and go around them. Build true relationships where it's a win-win situation for everybody, and just watch what happens with that relationship. You'll go and you'll find, like, I've got a good consistent base of like 10 to 20 realtors that every single month will bring me at least 5 potential deals. So
now, Ryan, you and I are gonna have a big internet release party where we're gonna basically dive into the meat and potatoes of this course. And we're going to do that on a live stream on my YouTube. So if you guys aren't already subscribed to my YouTube, it's going to get posted in the chat here. Just give it a little subscribe-y, and then show up for that, because Ryan's going to basically show us exactly what he's going to be teaching in his program, which I think is going to be incredible. I mean, Ryan, you're a beast, and it's fair to say that you're giving us all a real understanding of how free leads can change your life and make you a millionaire in 3 months. Gosh.
Well,
I mean, literally though.
Real quick though, 10 to 20 realtors, you say, will give you consistent business.
Yeah, so those are your VIPs.
Huh?
Those are your VIPs, but yes.
Right. And how many have you had to talk to filter it down to these 20 to 30 that, you know, are VIPs?
That is unfortunately going to be around 1,300 to 1,400. So I'd have to check and see how much money I have in that spreadsheet, but it's probably, if I had to guess, around like 1,350. But that's 1,300 relationships. That you reach,
these are, you have relationships with 1,300 agents, or you've been
at some point or another. I've had a communication where it was a thread, whether it was through text, email, or phone call, and then the relationship was formed. Then I put them into tiers based on how that relationship is going to work, whether or not they're active or if they're going to be motivated towards sending us opportunities, kind of what their plan is with us in our relationship. But 1,300 initial conversations and relationships, then get narrowed down to 10 to 20 VIPs. And then don't forget, I still have about 50 to 100 that will bring us, like Jamil said, a couple deals a year for the span of hopefully their entire career.
Well, aren't they intimidating to just call up agents? I bet you're not intimidated because you are an agent, right? Like, regular people should probably have should people have a license to be able to try this out, or can you do it without a license? Because this is going to be one of the questions. And then the other one, Pace, if you don't mind putting it up, or Matt, there's a question on how do you pay the real estate agents that I think we should get out of the way right away, because I think that's going through a lot of people's heads. Is one, I don't know if I want to reach out to real estate agents because they, you know, they might know more than I do. I'm just getting into this business. And two, you know, how do I pay them and how do I work with them?
Yeah. So how you pay them? Well, I guess we can start with intimidating. They're not that intimidating. What you got to understand is that when you're calling a homeowner, in my eyes, again, this is just where I could tell you I went direct to seller first and I personally failed. I realized I just didn't have the right systems and processes, sales skills, or the right people in place. But it was more intimidating for me to call a homeowner that had been contacted 50 to 100 times in that span of a week, where I was just hoping for the luck of the draw, right place, right time. Obviously not having the right systems in place like how I did. I would say when you're going and talking to these agents, what you got to understand, again, hardest part is finding a client. It's just like I showed on the call on Friday with Jamil. When I was calling a lot of these realtors, they have so many opportunities and they're excited for those calls. In Indianapolis, I mean, I was on there it was like 30 minutes and we got 2 deals in Indy. Like, that was a realtor. I've never stepped foot in Indianapolis. I've never talked to that realtor. And I found the deal on Privy just by going around and I found the agent's number. So Don't feel intimidated. Understand that they're supposed to have the answers. And 9 times out of 10, as you as the client, you're not. So don't feel intimidated. Play dumb. You'll see in a lot of calls and lives that I do, I actually kind of come across a little more naive where I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Are you even the listing agent? Of course I know they're the listing agent, but I want them to feel like they're the ones that have all the answers for all my problems. So that's the first part. As for how you pay them, there's a few different ways. The first thing I like to ask them is, do you already have an executed listing agreement? If they have the executed listing agreement, they've already discussed commission between the seller and the listing agent. So they know
what's a listing agreement.
The listing agreement's the contract that's signed between the seller and the agent that's representing the seller, which is referred to as the agent. To list the property onto the MLS. This is where you'll see it on Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com, all those sites.
So I have a house. I want to get the most for it. I want to put it on the market. I call up a real estate agent. They come over, they do a presentation, and then they give a paperwork called a listing agreement. You sign that. Now that person represents you to sell that property.
Correct. So that would be the listing agreement. If they have that signed, they've already discussed commission being compensated from the seller to them. If there is no listing agreement, and maybe you've set the expectation by training the agents that when they walk into a house that they're like, oh crap, this is not going to be a good listing. You're the first person they call. That's fantastic. At that point, if they don't have the listing contract signed, you could do a finder's fee, or you could JV the deal and split the wholesale fee with them. The most important thing to understand is that you've just got to set the expectations at the front. So when you're talking to the agents, a lot of times I'll tell them we're wholesalers. It actually even happened today at the office. Shout out to Brandon on the team, but he was like, yo, what do I do here? She said she knows who you are. And I was like, awesome. Tell her that this is our process. Every property we go in, we have the intention of buying. So that kind of even leads to the question that's on the screen here from Josh. How do you legally and morally use do proof of funds? Agents are going to request that all day long. So what you have to make sure you're doing is having actual backing power, whether it's through squatting up with somebody like in the comments, or you have a private hard money lender that's going to back you, or you're JVing a deal with somebody that is flipping and buying and holding, and they will be like your co-signer.
So, Pace, you've got a pretty interesting approach to how people can help each other with lending. I think you've got some animals, you name them after. How does that work? How would somebody squat up with somebody and work with another investor to get some private money to get a viable proof of funds?
Let me lay this out. I'm not going to answer this in 30 seconds. So give me 2 minutes to answer this. Okay.
Sure.
So I came up with an idea that answered the question for how to get started in real estate. Okay. So many people are like, I don't have a lot of experience. I don't know enough about comping. I don't know enough about this. I don't know enough about contracts. I don't know enough about all the aspects of the business. And so what they do is they take months and months and months to learn. And then at that point, it's really challenging for them to even make a decision. Do I go to creative finance? Do I go to wholesale? If I go to wholesale, do I go to agents? Do I go to on market, off market, whatever? So I came up with a really, really simple strategy for a lot of wholesalers to solve a wholesaler's problem. Okay. How many wholesalers do you think, percentage wise, don't have the ability to come up with $1,000 for their earnest money?
Quite a few.
80%.
I would say 80%. 80%. So what I've been doing for the last 5-7 years is a lot of wholesalers obviously know me. And in my DMs, people ask me, hey, can I borrow $1,000 for my earnest money? And I go all day long. But I'm not charging you 10% interest like a hard money lender, because a hard money lender wouldn't waste their time on $1,000 loan. So give me a chunk, which is why I call it gator lending. I want a chunk, not a percentage. I want a chunk of your assignment fee, and I'll cover your earnest money. And so what I've been doing for the last couple of weeks is in a free way. I'm not charging for this. I am literally just teaching people how to do what I am calling gator lending, where you're helping wholesalers cover their earnest money, cover their probate attorney cost, those types of things in a very secured manner, so that when, let's say, a real estate agent comes along and goes, yeah, let's get into a contract. I want a $5,000 or a 1% earnest money. You as the wholesaler have the ability to cover this. So I have about 1,500 people I'm teaching this to free right now. Yesterday, Nina Shoup, she was with me, and she's like, this gator lending thing can't be that easy. I'm like, are you kidding me? There's literally 100,000 wholesalers out there right now that need this service. $1,000, $5,000, $7,000, whatever it is. So she goes, well, how do I post? How do I find people? And I show her where and how, exactly what to post. And within like 15 minutes, she goes, I just got my first client. I'm going to lend $1,000 for a week, and I'm going to make $5,000 on just covering somebody's earnest money. So there are a ton of ways to cover your earnest money as a wholesaler without being dishonest and just hiding what most people do. Here's what I'm seeing. More and more and more title companies and closing attorneys are like, you know what? I'm not playing this game where you open escrow as the wholesaler and you make me lie to your seller that you don't have your earnest money because your seller's calling me and asking me for earnest money receipt. So it's happening more and more. You guys need to have the ability to cover your earnest money. And if you have 5 contracts out, sometimes that could be anywhere between $5,000 to $20,000 in earnest money sitting at title, waiting for your buyer or whoever to come in and replenish that amount of money. So Gator lending is a solution to that. I know, Jamil, I think you have some solutions for the earnest money as well, but Gator lending also provides money for probate and a handful of other services that wholesalers constantly run into. But again, wholesalers, you get a contract from like Ryan Zolan gets an agent. What's an average agent asking for right now on earnest money on a traditional deal?
It's going to be 1%.
Always 1%. Yeah.
Okay, 1%. And what's the average purchase price of your contracts? At least 200,000.
Yeah, we're usually around 700. So most of
okay,
the time,
great. So if you're doing 10 deals in a month, guess what? That means you probably have 15 to 30 contracts in escrow right now, which would mean that you have close to $60,000 in earnest money sitting at title. Guys, a lot of people don't talk about this. It's one of the things that kills a lot of wholesalers' contracts. If you don't have your earnest money covered, you will burn your relationships with your agents, okay? Because here's the thing. Hell hath no fury like an agent scorn.
I love that. That's great.
If you scorn an agent, just jump off a cliff. You ain't getting that relationship back. They're
Especially
emotional
old
creatures.
School one.
Oh my God. The
they'll
ones
talk
who
about
call
you for
themselves
5 years straight.
realtors. The ones who call themselves realtors. Those ones. The ones that wear the pins.
The ones that remind you how long they've been in the business. In fact, they tell you how long they've been in the business before they even tell you their name. Hi, I've been a realtor for 15 years with Keller Williams.
$1 million producer.
Yeah.
$1 million producer. So look, at the end of the day, you've got to cover your earnest money or else you're going to burn these relationships. That's all there is to it.
That's very true, Pace. And what I've also seen, guys, is that with real estate agents, if you aren't always swift to write that check, and if you're not sending a proof of funds immediately when they ask, you're going to degrade to 0 when it comes to trust. So
you got to send it with the offer.
You send it with the offer. So it's not the agent being a jerk when they ask for that. It's what they're required. It's a broker requirement. They've
been burned a couple of times.
Yeah, well, they have to send in a proof of funds because they're not acting as a fiduciary if they haven't verified that you've got the financial capability of closing the deal.
It's literally their job.
It's literally their job. It's their duty, right? It's their duty. So what are some of the ways that I found to bridge that gap? Well, you can squat up with a Key Glee or another wholesaler that is bigger than you in your market and have them back you financially. So if you ever work with a Key Glee in most of our franchises, will be able to provide you a proof of funds, and they will back your contract so that morally you're not lying, you're not committing fraud because you're writing a contract that you can't perform on.
Right,
guys. It's fraud. If you write a contract and you don't have the financial capabilities or capacities to fulfill on that contract, you are putting yourself in a situation where you open yourself up to criminal and civil liability. So don't do that. Squat up with somebody and make sure that you've got the financial backing to close the deal. There's also private money lenders. I have $1 million in a fund that I personally put in place to back your contracts. So you can always use that. Again, we're going to dive more into that on Friday when we do our thing on YouTube. So if you guys are interested in checking that out and learning more about what this is all going to be, my YouTube channel is going to be in the chat. Hit it up.
Guys, we have almost 720 people on right now. We've got 16 responses from you guys across 4 YouTube channels and 2 Facebook groups. Hit that like button. I want to see that thing just creep all the way up. It makes the audience bigger. The bigger the audience, the more you get to squat up, the more that we get to connect with really, really important people that haven't been in our world yet. So make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit whatever, the hearts or the whatever, if you're on Facebook or if you're on YouTube, make sure you hit that.
Can I do a shameless plug since we were talking about Gator lending just real quick? I don't consider myself a private money lending guru, but I have taken a lot of private money lending classes, and I find out that most of the people I learned from actually are not actively raising capital. If I could go back and learn one skill in real estate first before anything else, it would have been how to raise capital so I could buy more deals. I want to hold properties. I'm at a point in my real estate career that I want to hold at least 20% of what I touch, right? I want to build real wealth, not just, hey, I got a really great paycheck. I want to have forever money. And so I am going to be on Sunday mornings, I'm going to be calling private money lenders, cold calling them. I will be doing this for probably about 6 months because I have a plan this year to raise $25 million for multifamily creative finance deals. And so if you guys are part of the free Gator lending community that I'm building, you guys can be in those Gator lending calls on Sunday morning. So my next one is on April 10th. It is a Sunday. It is completely free. All the stuff that I'm going to do with Gator lending is completely free. I'm never going to charge for it. I'm just going to give it away because I will be raising capital live. Instead of talking about it, I'm going to just show you guys how it's done and have a lot of fun with it. So just FYI, that is going to be happening quite a bit for the next 6 months.
Pace, I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
And Ryan, you as well, because I think this fits into both of your guys' worlds. So Ryan, you're working with an on-market MLS deal. Say it's been listed 90 days.
Right.
How do you parlay that into a creative deal? And Pace, have you been involved in those deals where you're going after a lengthy listing, so something that's been sitting on the market for a long time, and trying to see if a seller is open to terms there? Is there a way to bridge the gap between on-market and creative finance deals?
I showed you a DM yesterday from a realtor when you and I were together. I get a lot of on-market deals where realtors, they don't have equity. There's no way it's a wholesale deal. There's no way it's a wholesale deal. And sometimes you get sellers. In fact, if you go on the MLS right now, anywhere in the country, you guys, anybody that's a real estate agent that doesn't know this, you guys need to get educated on this real quick. You can go look on the MLS right now and type in seller finance, seller carryback, or something regarding seller finance, and you will see hundreds of properties. In fact, if you go on the MLS right now in Phoenix, Arizona, Maricopa County, there's probably close to 100 listed properties with real estate agents that state the seller will carry and give terms. This has been around for a long time. It's just that most realtors don't know that. So I don't need to parlay those ones. They're just right then and there. Here you go. We are offering terms on this. And then I get a lot of real estate agents. For me, I like reaching out to real estate agents and say, send me stuff that you can't list or that's not selling after 90 days. Yep. I want to be an option for you. That's where I reach out to agents. So I don't touch anything unless it's 90 days. Personally, that's just my strategy. Doesn't mean that there's not deals between day 1 and day 90. It just means the likelihood is like 10x after day 90, halfway through their listing agreement.
For sure.
Ryan?
Yeah, so we don't really mess around too much with it, but I can tell you right now that it is a strategy. Brent and I always talk about it on the show on Thursdays, but it's like focus. For me, it's currently just wholesaling and then fix and flip, and then creating enough capital that we're redeploying into rentals. But I will tell you, there's a lot of opportunities, like Pace said. There is the filter. On top of that, too, it's just going and looking at the properties that are sitting. It's just setting the proper expectations. And a lot of times you have to make sure you're being extremely patient with the agents, because the only way that they're familiar with is going to be commission. Just like when you start seeing assignment fees come into picture, they start freaking out and they're like, that's illegal. You can't do that. This has to be disclosed. It's because they don't know and they're only going off what they were taught. So a lot of times you have to be extremely patient and walk them to the finish line and make sure they understand we will get you paid. And the only other downfall is that if you aren't able to pay them a full commission, in their head, they're going to be like, well, why would I do a smaller finder's fee of $2,500 rather than $7,500 to $10,000 in commission, when they can't see the bigger picture that if it's not selling, you're not making $7,500 to $10,000, you're leaving the potential $2,500, move on to the next on the table.
I've found that if you say the word referral fee to a realtor, it actually triggers their vomit response.
Yep.
Well, and why is that?
Because it's basically asking an agent to eat a shit sandwich.
Yeah. You're discounting.
The reason being is that their brain is focused around a referral fee, meaning $2,500 or less.
And the thing that lights them up is 3% and 6%.
They want to talk in percentages. They want to hear they're at least minimum getting 3%.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I know of realtors who, in this competitive market right now, sellers have been reducing how much they're paying to a buyer's agent.
Yeah.
They're going down to 2% for a buyer's agent or less. And I know of agents who will refuse to show their clients those listings because they're not being paid.
Yep.
That's a very common practice. A lot of times they miss out on seeing the 2.5%, which is a very normal amount nowadays, where there's a lot of realtors, especially when I first started. I remember learning that from brokerages. The agents are like, I'm not showing it unless it's 3%. So, yeah, 3%, unfortunately, there's those agents out there.
Ryan, I'd like to dispel a misconception that I think I've seen it, where buyers, fix and flip buyers, are hesitant to buy deals that are listed on the MLS. I have done thousands of those transactions, and I can tell you that I've had no problems. There are some rules that you need to follow. First and foremost, don't have your wholesale price be higher than the listed price unless it's a brand new, freshly listed property. And you can you can show that it went under contract immediately and a bidding war ensued. That all has to be explained to your buyer before they'll digest that. Ryan, how are you going around that?
So, I mean, you hit it right on the head. We do a lot of deals day one, but what we're having to give up is we're going hard earnest money. We're going right off the start, 0-day inspection period. We're doing a 10-day close. We just closed one actually with Keegley, with Thomas and Alex last week. It was a 9-day close. So it was a hard earnest money, no inspection period, just is what it is, with a higher earnest money amount. So there's that. The alternative is going after properties that aren't selling. In this market, that's kind of where my specialty is that if it's not selling, I always say it's one of two things. It's either a seller that is the problem or the agent. And 9 times out of 10, it was usually just expectations not being set properly, whether it's the price or condition that's going to factor as to why it didn't sell. But then we just go in as like the superhero. They love us. We're the solution. Rather than coming in having problems, we say, well, we could do X, Y, or Z. I think there's actually a serious opportunity, kind of like what we were talking about a minute ago with Pace, about being able to do creative finance deals. It's just the only hurdle I would see is getting over that commission amount. But I think there's a tremendous amount of opportunity.
Well, it increases your entry fee in every deal because your commission to the agent will have to be out of pocket.
Correct.
And I know for a lot of people who do creative deals, they're trying to have that entry fee be as low as possible, because if they can cash flow right off the hop with a minimal entry fee, the deal's a no-brainer. If I go to Pace and say, hey, Pace, for $3,000, you want to buy $500 a month, or $5,000, you want to buy $500 a month in cash flow? He'll just say, where do I send the money?
Yep.
Right. But if I say to Pace, hey, Pace, for $50,000, you want to buy $500 a month in cash flow? He's going to say, no, I have no interest in that.
Hell no.
Right. So it's the minimal, the lower you can get your entry fee on a creative deal and still have cash flow. That's the money.
Right. And I think it's really just focusing in on like your specialty. I mentioned it like at the beginning of the show, but it's like, for me, it's 10 days. If it's 10 days on the market out here, I'm all over it. Like Gilbert, especially, there's nothing that's slipping past me that it's been on Gilbert more than 10 days without my team having written.
Are you focusing in areas? Is that a strategy of yours when you're doing on market stuff? Are you in a niche little, like, for instance, you just mentioned Gilbert. And that's funny because we don't really do a lot out there. So Ryan's been getting those deals without any competition. That's great. But Ryan,
is that a note to self?
Well, I said that because
he's about to text his acquisition managers.
No, I'm happy for Ryan. I want him to make money and do all the things. And again, there's so many deals out there. There's so many opportunities that if Ryan gets 3 of them and I get 2 of them, or I get 1 of them and Ryan gets 4 of them, who cares?
Yeah.
And
right?
we always
There's
be JV
always a
deals
deal
all the
around the
time.
corner. We just sold Ryan a deal in McCormick Ranch. We did great on it, and he's going to knock it out of the park. And, all is well. This is the joys of working with people that might be competitive with you. I mean, guys, I teach how to work with agents as a coaching program. Ryan is coming out with a coaching program that teaches how to work with agents. Is that a competitive situation? It could be. Am I not here promoting Ryan? Of course, because I want to see
Friday.
And I want to see people. I want to see people grow and understand how this works. Right.
Mm-hmm.
The more people that can do business and do deals, I think the better off we're all going to be.
100%. Ryan, let me ask you this. With your strategy, do you find that your cash buyers, and you as well, your cash buyers have to be different? They have to be very experienced. They have to have the deeper pockets. These are more established companies that are doing, because you said your average is 700,000. That's a different realm than most, ma and pop and people just getting into it or just starting out or willing to take down. Are you seeing that you have to go to the, 5, 10, 15, 20 buyers that you have that have all of their, tracks greased when it comes to their subcontractors and their insurance and turning on utilities and all of these different things and picking out supplies and design and all that? Or do they already have that, or are you just selling it to it's a mixed bag like it is with all wholesale?
No, yeah, that's a great question. So we focus primarily on our 10 to 15 buyers. So while a minute ago I told you we focus in on specific areas, while I love Gilbert, Brandon on my team loves Scottsdale, Albert loves Tempe, Kyle messes around in Mesa and Phoenix. We have everyone that's focused in on one specific area. What I find with my buyers is we do a really good job of qualifying them from the start. So it just takes one bad apple to ruin the bunch for us, where if we put it on a buyer's list and blast it out, it's got a very good highly chance of making it back to the listing agent or the seller, and then talk about how we were saying, burning rapport with the agent. So we focus in on really specific buyers. So for example, if I go to Pace and I were to qualify him as our buyer, I would use the line, and this is literally what I say. I'm like, hey, I'm going to play out a situation with you, and let's just say that I'm all about win-win. So I find a deal for $1. We're not going to question it, but I'm going to want to sell it to you for $100,000. Now, this deal doesn't need any money at all, and you could turn around and sell it for $1 million. I'm just dumb, and you're going to make $900,000, but I'm just going to make $99,999. Do you have a problem with me making that? He's going to say, nope, not at all. I'm completely fine with that because I just made $900,000. So I go to the extreme with my examples so that when we come back and we send them deals, they're like, well, wait a second, this is on the market. I'm like, if it's a deal, it's a deal. So if the numbers make sense, I don't understand what the point is. We were competing against multiple people to get the deal. It's exclusively available through us. And I'm sorry, but I have the intention of purchasing this. I know where I have it as a deal, and with the commission, it makes sense for me. I'm just exploring all options. And if you don't want to buy it, that's okay. I'm not going to wholesale it to you. So,
what's interesting is
Same with you.
We actually are a little bit softer on our approach with the non-refundable and going full, just fully committing right out the gate. We will still have an inspection period and still do the thing, and agents expect it. And so I haven't really run into a lot of issues there. That approach that Ryan talks about, I have that approach more with working with wholesalers.
Yeah.
Because wholesalers tend to want to just know if they're going to get paid. If they just want to know, is this deal done so I can just go buy my Ferrari, And so there's that whole thing you deal with when you're working with wholesalers, is that they really just want to get it done. And it's a little bit of a different vibe than with agents. But Ryan, that's an interesting approach because you're coming in so strong with non-refundable EMD, waiving inspection right off the hop.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question, because here comes a dilemma, right? You put a deal under contract, you waived your inspection, you've got how much up for EMD?
$5K.
$5K EMD. You can't sell the deal.
Yep.
Everybody who's gone to see the deal said, Ryan, this house is got a ghost in it.
Yep.
Or something crazy, right? The foundation. Ghoul. There's a ghoul living in the basement.
Yep.
You follow my drift, right? There's a foundation crack. There's a deal breaker in the house.
Yep.
Are you closing?
So it would just depend. We'd have to walk it with our contractor. What we do is when we set up appointments for our buyers to walk through it, we have someone on the team walking it or one of our contractors walking through it with Albert. And if it makes sense for us to purchase it as a flip, yes. Other than that, this is where the expensive learning lesson has come in. And with due time, it's what led me down the road of focusing on specific areas and specific buyers' needs. I have lost earnest money. It happens. It's part of the business. It is unfortunately where I have to get very real and authentic and tell you guys it does happen. So that's where you've got to be more strategic. You have to obviously not just be willing to throw up $5,000 on an area of a market you've never done a deal in. Make sure you're getting some feedback. So like I'll put feelers out there when I'm squatting up with people. Like for example, we talked about Templeton at the beginning. I would go to Temp and I'm like, hey man, this deal is sent to me by an agent or it's on market. I'm in the middle of negotiating. I had to have that trust initially with Templeton that he wasn't going to go around me. You have to find that person in the industry. And even if it's someone that's doing deals and that's the only person you could think of, find a way to bring them value. And then they will start to walk through the deal with you. They'll tell you where they need it at. And then you reverse engineer that, whether it's on market or if the agent brought it to you off market. So
yeah, do you feel that you understand values better because of the offers that you've made and seeing what the response is from your cash buyers, or just from comping properties, just to comp properties?
Both. Yeah. So you have to figure out the buyer's like specific needs. When you can tell the difference between someone that has been doing this for a while, like you were saying, that has the crews, that has their process, they have the same looks and styles to their flips, versus a wholesaler, because a wholesaler will say, send me everything. I want to see anything, everything you've got. A specific buyer is going to say, send me properties under $1 million. I'll start sending them properties that are 200,000. They're like, yeah, no, I don't want this $200,000 stuff. I want 500K and up. Okay, well, now the buy box got smaller. Is there specific zip codes? Do you prefer single story versus 2-story? Oh, does it need a pool? Does it need to be in this specific district, in historic district, or blah, 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 blah? Again, setting expectations, communicating. And I mean, over time, once you start to create those actual like buyers in your database, I mean, it's just puzzle pieces. You get all the pieces on the board, you start talking about the deals, they start appearing. Then you just go to, okay, take this, put it here with this guy, take this one, put it with this guy. It's basically the Keegley model then of astro flipping. Just plug and play.
So he actually talks to his cash buyers?
Yes.
Builds a relationship?
That's important.
Again. No, you treat them like trash. No, in and out.
Look, it's such an interesting way to approach the business.
I'm just kidding, guys.
You know, it's necessary. It's necessary to know where your money is coming from, right? Where your liquidity is going to come out of, because that's ultimately what's going to move a deal across the line. I want to kind of get into the whole concept of agency and the dance. What I'm talking about is when you approach real estate agents and you are, at least even with an on-market property, they're very much going to follow a standardized system of engagement.
Yep.
And the first step of that is to gain agency with you. Okay. And what I mean by that, guys, is they're going to require you to become represented by them. Now, there's one of two ways you can be represented by them. You can either be represented by them deal specifically, or what an agent will try to do is they will try to have you being represented by them for a 6-month period of time, because normally people who are house shopping will go out and look over 6 months. So an agent will try to get you into an agency relationship with them, either for a specific period of time, or if you're smart, you'll have them be completely dedicated to that property. Agency is only for this one property, right? Now, it's a very hard conversation to have with agents, because in their minds, you're being disloyal if you buy somewhere else. In their minds, they don't understand this process of a numbers game. In their mind, they don't get it that, listen, as soon as we hang up, I'm talking to 49 more of you. They don't get that, right? They don't understand our hustle. They don't understand the heart of what we're trying to accomplish.
Right.
Ryan,
Yep.
Speak to how you approach the dance.
Yep. Dude, I mean, that is another like beautiful topic. So you hit it right on the head, where agents have this expectation of, I can only get paid in commission. There is another common belief here that when consumers hear the word commission, their first initial reaction is to think more. So that's what initially started the reduction of commission and what made agents so dependent on, oh my gosh, I need to make sure I'm representing them in the transaction. It's because this is the only industry where you're going to come in and you're going to completely tear someone down, tell them what their worth is, and it's not too insulting. So there's like this, like, again, beef going on. So when I go into this conversation with the agents, I just tell them like, hey, I want you to understand, I had an agent that I was working with. They were phenomenal. They actually decided to go into blah, 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 other industry. They decided to move to Vermont, whatever your story decides to be. With that said, I'm working with multiple agents. I need to disclose that up front because I don't want you to feel that I'm being disloyal to you. Again, we're setting expectations. But I'm going to go in and I'm going to tell them, I want to just play out a situation, kind of like the same story I did with my buyers. But I just have a question for you. So if, let's say Sally Smith is a realtor over at Keller Williams and she brings me a deal, do you think that you should be compensated on that deal? And if they say yes, I'm like, ooh, that's going to be a red flag to me, because in my eyes, unless they were representing me as the buyer and they brought me the deal, I can't cut you in on every deal. I also want them to make sure, like, everyone here understands, part of the reason why there is going to be like this tension is because it comes from the realtor's like entitlement of, well, if I have you as a client, I'm going to get paid on everything you do. I'm your representative. No, I'm challenging you to be the best realtor in the entire state. That's what I'm looking for. I want you to be the one that is my best realtor. And guess what? As the relationship builds, there's a sense of loyalty that's going to come where it's not just going to be a win for me and not for you. Every deal we do, we're both going to win together. So why not want to do this 10 times a month? And then
are you listing your flips with the same agent that you might have done the deal with in the acquisition to kind of do the double back scratch?
So we don't do that initially. However, if the right opportunity came and the only way the numbers would work would be for them to take the listing, we don't mind it. What I do in lieu of that is, because we are licensed, we get a flat fee listing. I allow them to sit the open house. I allow them to have first dibs for their buyer database. Again, everything I'm doing is trying to level up the realtors while also elevating us to have more opportunities so that everybody wins. There's never like this conflict of tension or frustration unless they truly didn't have the expectations set, or they were just too ignorant and didn't want the whole thing to go through to begin with. So, yeah.
Now, Ryan, my whole office is licensed.
Yep.
And so when we approach agents, we approach them as licensed agents.
Yep.
Right. Have you found that there's a difference when you approach an agent when you're licensed versus when you are unlicensed and approaching them as a principal?
Yes. So we lead actually opposite. The gray area here is we have to disclose we're licensed. There is no, you have to disclose this right from the start. So I jump into the conversation saying I'm a buyer. I tell them what I'm looking for. I tell them what my process is. I explain the wholesale operation. And then by the end of it, I say, just so you know, I am licensed, but I want you to understand I'm not asking for a referral fee on the deals that you bring me. Yep. So that way, again, I leveraged it by saying I could, but I'm not going to. And it's almost like this like reverse psychology where they're like.
So you're kind of using it as a throwaway line. Like you're almost like, and we're licensed. Like it's like you're not leading with that. You button with it, or you just try to slide it in as, and that's interesting. That's an interesting approach. It differs from the way we do it, because I've always found that when you approach a realtor and you match them badge to badge, you know, and you show them, hey, I went through the same things as you, and I've been through these, you know, I did the course, I did the test, I'm in continuing education. It's not that you're going to say all that stuff, but they feel it. They're like, you're like me.
You can say that by just saying,
right?
Hey, it's Brent with Stunning Homes Realty.
Right.
Yeah.
And I feel like when you level up to an agent to just say, hey, we're on the same page and I'm bound by the same code of ethics as you, you automatically disarm them. So it's interesting that your approach is a little different, because you're coming in as a principal or as an investor first, and you're elevating that aspect. And then also just sliding in, hey, we're licensed as a caveat to that, which I find is an interesting approach. I mean, everybody does it a little different, you know?
I think it's really, really, really smart. And you've talked about it a lot with your relationship with several different agents, but giving your agents bonuses on some of these bigger deals, right? Give them a little extra cheddar.
Well, when
$5K, an extra $5K.
We talked about that with Andrew Abernathy last Thursday.
Yeah, on our show last Thursday.
Brilliant.
You in the middle of nowhere, offer an agent an extra $5,000 on top of whatever commissions that they have to find you a great deal. I am telling you, that will instantly set you apart.
100%.
It will instantly set you apart.
Well, agents are very, very motivated by incentive, right? Because that's how their job and the alignment of being a realtor
it's a
works.
sales position,
right?
That's
100%.
what a realtor is
and
a
so
salesperson.
if you can increase that and make that easier for them, then often that works. We've got a question here. What does this say, Ingrid?
What up, Ingrid?
Ingrid's question is, I just got a Morby method. Ooh, that's a special way that Pace has structures his deal so that he can use different types of financing and still get cash out to a homeowner, a large amount of cash out to a homeowner without having to come to the table with a big chunk of money. I'll let Pace describe it because it's genius. But Ingrid said, I just got a Morby method under contract by saying I'm a licensed investor. I talked down that I was licensed and that I just use it for MLS access. It disarmed her, in her opinion. So Ingrid is very much saying what Ryan is saying in that regard. She will always walk in and be an investor first. She puts the investor hat on and then has her license as the other hat. Interesting take. I appreciate the comment, Ingrid.
Just as a side note, real quick, guys, Wholesale Hotline podcast. If you are feeling what Ryan is talking about here, we put clips from our Millionaire Before 30 show on that podcast. It's got an unbelievable catalog of interviews and instruction from Pace, a ton of incredible conversations and instruction from Jamil. If you guys are not subscribed to the Wholesale Hotline podcast, make sure you do. Over 80,000 downloads the last 30 days. It keeps creeping up. I am telling you, it's going to set the bar. It's really, really, really awesome. So check it out.
Pace, what's the Morby method?
When a seller asks you for too much money as a down payment on a seller finance situation, right? A lot of people that are trying to acquire seller finance, they hear me tell stories about all the deals I do with $0 down and 0% interest. Well, that happens all the time. But what happens when a seller says, I want 20% down? What happens when a seller says, I want 30% down? Well, you really only have three options. Option one, get better at negotiating. That's your first option. Get better at negotiating. Option two, which I wouldn't want you to jump directly into unless you actually got better at negotiating, is what we call the cash out refi seller finance. So a lot of times, actually, Robert G. Allen did the same exact thing. Okay. So Robert G. Allen, his first deal out there in San Francisco was actually his seller refinanced all his equity out and then let Robert G. Allen take that loan over subject to. Okay. So that's the second way. The third way is the Morby method. So it's where you go get a non-QM or a non-qualifying mortgage and you bring the seller 60%, 70% down. That comes from your lender. Non-qualifying mortgage, meaning they're not basing it off your credit. They're not basing it off your income. They're not basing it off anything other than the actual house itself. And then the seller will then carry back the remaining 30 or 40% in a seller finance carryback position. So a lot of my students are doing these right now. It was like this whole other vault that got unlocked for a lot of them. And more, Ingrid's been in the program for a year and here she is. We just created the Morby method. And it's like, people are just start cranking them out, acquiring properties and holding them. So you ever have a seller that wants too much money and they want too much money down, the Morby method is the way to solve that problem. Go ahead.
Can you tell us what kind of lenders? Is this a private money lender, a hard money lender, both? Is it a conventional lender? What type of lenders would be offering a non-qualifying mortgage?
There are a lot of conventional lenders that offer them too. Like my buddy here local, he's a conventional lender at People's Mortgage, really big national chain.
Yep.
Brian Gething is his name. They offer a non-qualifying mortgage product, but that's not who I use. I use a company called myinvestorloan.com for non-qualifying mortgages. They lend, I believe, in 47 states. So My Investor Loan is who we use. They bring the 60% of the money down to the table. And then I have the seller carry back the other 40%.
Wow.
Yeah, it's great.
This is what's first position?
Always the lender. Seller. What happens is either the seller, depending on the lender, the seller either puts their seller carryback in second position, or you and the seller partner on your LLC and file a UCC1. Kind of high level stuff, but I go into it on Sunday service. So
do you have to have good credit?
No.
You can have bad credit and get a loan.
My investor loan will reject certain people, but there's 20 other lenders that I can refer you to. So if for some reason somebody says my investor loan rejected me, just DM me and I'll give you another lender that'll give you a loan on bad credit.
And they just look at the asset.
They look at the asset and what it could rent for.
Awesome.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's
questions in here.
Yeah, Seth asks, if the auction date is set, is there still time to make a deal?
I mean,
what do you think, Ryan?
Yeah, absolutely.
What's the fastest you close a deal?
The fastest I've closed a deal. I mean, title took a little bit. Like they took 48 hours to come with a rush title report.
Yep.
But as soon as I had that rush title report, I was able to close a deal in 48 hours.
Mine's the fastest is 5 days, and that's you can only close real fast if there's no liens.
Right.
You got to get the loan payoff, the lien payoff. So anybody, if you're talking to a seller that's like, give me my money, give it to me, I want it in 24 hours and it's yours. I would love to. The answer is this: I would love to, and I will. But we need to make sure it goes through the title company and make sure that they have enough time to do their job. As soon as their job is done, that money is wired in and done. Does that sound fair? Yeah, that sounds fair. Okay, great. Right.
Guys, we have near 800 people across platforms.
We love you guys.
And
this is incredible.
Not enough likes. Not enough likes.
Not enough likes.
I don't understand what's happening here.
Not enough likes, but so many people. I love it.
But if you guys, and I think we might have a few new people because Pace, the last couple of days, he kicked the crap out of the 10X stage and gained thousands of new people in his vortex. And I think that we might have some people from 10X joining us today on Wholesale Hotline.
Well, welcome.
They came here for you. What are you talking about? You made the people behind the boards at 10X, the people who were like running the event, you made them react in a way that they weren't ready for you, bro.
When Pace finished, they set off fireworks. It went with smoke, and it was insane.
Love it.
It was insane. Welcome if you guys are new here. We appreciate you guys. We appreciate you joining us and being a part of this. We've got Ryan Zolan from the Zolan Group on tonight. He is talking to us about deals that he's doing with real estate agents, deals that he's finding on the market, dispelling all kinds of myths that deals can't be done on market. He's not only wholesaling those deals, he's double dipping. He's getting paid by assignment and commission. In addition to that, he's also fixing and flipping the properties that he's finding. And to date, since the beginning of the year, has done $1 million or more in revenue on the market with zero spend.
This is $5 million goal for the year, and this is Ryan. 5 million. Come on, man. 24 years old.
When you set yourself
24, barely just turned it. Come on.
When you set yourself up around a great structure, great people, great partners, he's got great people working with him, and you figure out the processes and the ways to do this business at the highest level possible, then a stinking MLS listing isn't going to hold you back from getting a check.
Do you mind if I put on our Millionaire Before 30 blueprint? Can we put that, Matt? This is something that Ryan and I worked on, and this is something that we talk about every Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on the Brent Daniels YouTube channel. Give us a second here. This is the Millionaire Before 30 blueprint, how to get started, how to build it up. If we can get rid of that comment just real quick so we can see it on. Ryan, you want to go through it for me?
Yeah.
First thing, well, I'll start us off. First thing, do a deal. Just do a deal. Just make some income. Have some income come in out of thin air based on your efforts, based on your voice, your service to the community. Do a deal so you could prove to yourself that you can do this business, whether it be real estate or anything else. But just do a deal first. Just start that first path of walking down and being an entrepreneur, and that leads us to
which is full-time in the business. Brent and I always talk about this on the show, but you guys, the whole point of doing a deal is to have proof of concept. You start to have belief. You start to have the confidence instilled within yourself. You're around these heavy hitters. You're starting to see this opportunity, but more importantly, you're able to transition to full-time in the business. As you transition full-time, I mean, the results just start to really double, triple, quadruple because you're around more opportunities because you have more time invested into the business. So again, we go full-time in the business. And once you're able to start doing more deals, then you jump to the third step, which is
kill the debt.
What do you mean by kill the debt?
Kill the debt.
What's the debt?
Stop being somebody else's ROI. Get rid of your consumer debt. I'm talking credit cards. I'm talking car loans. I'm talking student loans. Kill the debt. Kill the debt, kill the debt, kill the debt. Because what's the point? You're going to go and you're going to make all this money and give it back away. People work from January to October to pay taxes and interest. That's in the wealthiest country in the planet, right? From January to October. Google that shit. I'm telling you, kill the debt.
Yep.
Stop being somebody else's ROI.
Mm-hmm. And as you kill the debt, you're back to level 1. This is fantastic. This is a great place to be because you're only going to go up from here. We are full-time in the business. We have proof of concept. We understand. We believe in ourselves. We've killed the debt. We have no consumer debt on us. Again, there's good debt, bad debt. We're talking about all the bad debt. It is away. We are now able to start investing into assets. This is where you take the money of what your hard-earned income is and you invest it back into yourself. You invest it into these assets, which creates the beautiful thing of cash flow. This is what we're all trying to accumulate and create so that we will lead to the fifth and final step, which is financial freedom. We're all trying to attain that.
That's right. Financial freedom, AKA control of the time that you have left on this planet.
Love it.
Financial freedom, baby. Something very few people taste, but everybody here has that brain. Everybody here has that fire in your belly that you want to be different. And that's the only reason why you're on here.
100%.
That's it. That's the blueprint.
100%.
Millionaire before 30. Somebody wants me to ring the bell for Ryan. So
Ring that bell. Ring that bell. Woo! Ryan, talk a little bit about what assets you are holding and why you choose those assets, how you've been sort of deciding between whether or not to hold something or sell it, wholesale it.
Sure.
Speak to that if you would.
Yeah, so I've only got a few properties. They're all actually in Gilbert, and they're basically just in my backyard. It's where I'm comfortable. It's where I knew the appreciation was going to happen. Good cash flow and assets, and then I've got a little bit of ownership down in one in Tucson. That one we picked up. I was able to make a little bit of a wholesale fee, assigning it to myself, and then a couple of their partners. But
wait. You made a wholesale fee assigning to yourself? What's that?
Yeah, so we got it under contract. I assigned it to myself and then had business partners that went in on it. It was $50,000. I don't remember, but we all went in, we bought it together. We had a very, very small payment, got a private money lender, and then we were cash flowing every single month, like $900. And then we just ended up paying it off. But I initiated by having a $2,500 assignment fee to myself just so that I could free up some capital.
Awesome.
Incredible.
Are you doing any short-term rentals?
I'm not. That's a consistent conversation we have in the office. I'm really big on just destination location. And so where I always kind of get stumped back and forth is like, in my eyes, destination location is Sedona, Big Bear, the Smoky Mountains in Tennessee. It's like those kind of locations, but I need to keep reminding myself that Scottsdale has slowly become destination location. Like, I didn't know if you guys knew this, but there's actually more short-term rentals in Scottsdale, Arizona than there is long-term rentals.
Yep.
So what scares me is I don't know how sustainable that is. And I don't like the thought process of being 1234 Main Street, 85250 and 1235 or 12345, whatever it is, like your neighbor 2 doors down is the same thing competing against you. I don't really want to go like a arbitrage model against my neighbor. So If I could find the right opportunity in Sedona, I'll absolutely jump on it. But I'm not currently invested into them.
Ryan, real quick, just because, I think there's probably a curiosity behind this, but how did you get started in real estate? Like, can we make him bigger, put him as the big one? How did you get into this and when did you start?
Yeah, so I started at 18, fresh out of high school. I put on a better show of my brain skills now than I could when I was 18. When I was 18 coming out, I always joke, and I made the comment a few times with you, Brent, on the show, but like, I knew the Pythagorean theorem. That's what I had as life skill set. Like, when I came into real estate, there was nothing. I was 18 years old.
A squared plus B squared equals C squared.
You got it, my man.
That's how you comp a property, right?
That's all it is.
and that's like how you know that the maximum allowable offer is you use the Pythagorean blah, blah, blah theorem.
Yeah, that's how you pre-qualify a seller too, Pace.
That's it.
I love it. That's how you get them under terms. I love it.
Honestly, that's it.
That's how you generate the best discounted properties.
That's it. But as for how I got started, I didn't have college on the cards. So I didn't really see the point of college. It's not that I don't agree with it. I just don't agree with their principles and what they're about. I think they teach you to be the employee rather than a business owner. And aside from that, I fell ass backwards into real estate because I ended up somehow, some way as a senior in high school at a Robert Kiyosaki Rich Dad Poor Dad event where I slept the entire weekend, but I had my head down. And I just remember hearing them say, I'm using none of my own money, no credit, and you don't need a college degree. That was the only thing that stuck to me.
Why were you sleeping the whole time?
Because 18 years old, do you think I understood anything about interest rates, down payments, mortgages? Nothing at all. So no, I just took a chance on real estate. I figured if it didn't work out, I'd be 18, 19 years old. What's the worst case scenario? But yeah, I just went and got licensed, and then I kind of did it backwards. I started as an agent for 3 years, and then that's when I got introduced to the legendary Jamil Damji.
Woo!
And then from there, I mean, it's just been
what a tremendous ride we've been on, and I'm proud of you, man. I'm really proud of everything that you've been doing, and you know, in addition to that, there's something to be said about getting loud.
Yep.
Right. You know, Ryan could have continued to make a tremendous living and been quiet, and I'd say over the last 12 months, we've really seen you come out of your shell. Really get loud on social media. You do a podcast with Brent Daniels. And I mean, anytime you do a podcast with Brent Daniels, big stuff's going to happen, right? It's
like the arms, right? It's like,
well, he's a powerful guy to be around. And even if no one watched your podcast, which I know isn't true, many do, just being around a guy like Brent as well changes how you think. And I know that when I got around Brent Daniels, I started making more money. It was just a natural thing. Even though I own one of the largest wholesale operations in the country, I get around Brent Daniels, and just so happens a few months later, I'm making more money. And it's just a product of how I'm thinking and the steps I'm taking. Right? It's a real thing. Talk about that, Ryan, because I think there's people here that have seen you lately. You know. And they've watched you on either IG or you're TikTok. Here.
Great
your TikTok is blowing up. You know, I was scanning some of your reels on my way into the hotline today, and I was very impressed. I was impressed by how high quality they are and how pertinent they are. So well done. But talk about that. Why did you get loud? What's the purpose here? You know, aside from buying a Lamborghini and living in a mansion.
Oh man. So I mean, everyone's heard the saying.
Did you buy a Lamborghini?
No, he didn't.
No,
I'm making that up.
Holy moly! I was gonna have to.
I was this close on a Ferrari. I was this close, but I didn't do it. Oh my
gosh!
Delayed gratification.
Buy a Prius, dog. Buy a Prius.
I didn't do it. It's okay.
And he's gone.
And he's gone. He just shows up. He just shows up to say, buy a Prius.
It's like,
no, it's funny. 35 miles per gallon. I mean, especially nowadays, right?
But yeah, talk about getting loud because it's changed you and changed your business in a very, very good, positive way. I think it's really exploded things for you. So how does one do that and feel, you know, and not feel self-conscious? Because I know for me, the first thing that I was very self-conscious when I first started turning the camera on. Also, I had a very bad beard. And so it was hard for me.
I understand.
Yes.
And you got rid of it.
Well, it wasn't constructive criticism. Somebody said to me, that man's double chin is growing its own beard.
Wow. Dude, it's okay. Imagine like me, I'm a twig next to Brent every Thursday. Like it's just, I get it. What I was saying is like, you got to remember like the whole thing that everyone's heard is your network is your net worth, right? I mean, it's cheesy, but it's actually very real. I'm beyond blessed and I don't know how the world kind of worked itself out like this, but as all my like career's gone on, all the dominoes kind of fell the way they were supposed to. Like going from having a mentor to having 20 agents at 19 years old that worked for me to splitting apart from a 6-figure-a-year job because a guy named Templeton Walker was telling me I wasn't doing it well enough. I mean, at 19 years old, a lot of people would have had an ego, which I did have. And that was him saying, you were the big fish in the small pond. You ain't shit. How would it feel to be in the ocean surrounded by the sharks and we'll kill anything that gets in your way? And I'm like, ooh, okay, like that'll make you run through a brick wall. And so then as I started getting around Templeton, it was Steve Trang, it was Jamil Damji, now it's Brent Daniels. Being in a market, even just like it with a guy like Pace, like all of you guys are such big name guys that it elevated me. It challenged me to be the best version of myself. But then as to leading into being loud, I mean, dude, honestly, I think it was.
I mean, you're being loud isn't just turning on social media. I mean, you're hosting a monthly meetup, right? And that I think I don't want to just sweep that under the rug, because I think, you know, Pace and I got to speak at one of your meetups, and I don't know, 300 people showed up to that thing. It was insane. How has that affected your business? And are you getting deals like that? Does networking and meeting people and talking actually work?
Yeah, so there's a guy in the industry, you may know him. It's TTP. Like I don't know. Talking
What's
to
that?
people.
What's that?
Talk to people.
Take to Pace.
Take to Pace all the deals. Yep.
Take to Pace all the seller finance and sub 2 deals. Take to Pace. Yes.
I heard that it meant that from a girl once upon a time. Take to Pace. But yes, talk to people.
Yeah. So just being around people in the industry, there's the 80-20 rule. I mean, you guys might have heard it, but it's the 80% of people do 20% of the business. 20% of the people do 80%. Well, guess what? 20% that do 80% of the business are in those rooms at the meetups. If they're taking a random Tuesday night to go to a taco shop in Tempe, Arizona to meet a guy like Brent and myself, they're going to obviously be very interested in learning something, whether it's just finding how they can bring us value in deals, whether they're a realtor trying to elevate their game, they are a private money investor trying to squat up and do deals with people that have deals. The opportunities are just so much more amplified when you're in those rooms. And I mean, obviously it helps when you've got the connections of being in a market like this, being able to pull like you and Pace and Brent, Steve is speaking in June, like all these big guys that everyone looks up to. And then just to bring you guys around and be like, look, they're normal. Like they're alive. They have blood just like us, and they smile and they don't, well, they bite a little bit.
Actually, you know, I've heard Steve Trang fart before.
Really? There you
so
go.
that's how normal I know him to be.
Yep. No,
Love Steve.
love Steve.
What's up,
love
man?
Steve.
You can't fart around me, I guess.
Oh boy.
But yeah, no, man. You guys have honestly elevated me to a level that I didn't even imagine myself being able to get to. So I appreciate you guys.
Well, listen, you don't get what you want, you get what you attract. It's the absolute fact. I mean, Jamil, you talk about it all the time. You talk about the vibrations that you put out there.
I mean, it's real.
The look in your eyes, the stars in your eyes, the questions that you ask, the people that you connect with, the communication that you have, love, bringing a ton of love to any and all rooms, whether people are negative or not. But filtering out all those people that just don't elevate you and don't want to be your cheerleader and don't want to support you. You know, you start finding your squad. You start finding your own personal board of directors, and then everybody grows from there. And that's what makes this business so incredible. And that's what makes your guys' mission, the Pace and Jamil do, or Jamil and Pace do America. When you guys are just going out, basically just saying, hey, listen, share the love.
It'll always be Pace and Jamil do America.
Okay.
It's always Pace and Jamil do America. And you know what? We're going to continue to do America. In fact, on the week of April 4th.
Oh my gosh, we're going to freaking New York, New Jersey, all of the Northeast. Bro.
Yeah, boy. We're going to meet our publicist. We're going to meet A&E, the heads of the network.
Nice.
As well as the executives there, as well as eat good food.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to do one heck of a meetup. We're going to do a pop-up. We're going to have as many people as we can get out there legally and safely in somewhere either in Jersey, New York, or Philly. So if you know of a location that we can, if you know of a location that we can hold our pop-up at, send Pace a text message, and his phone number is, no, I'm kidding. Send us a DM, either him or me. Send us a DM because we definitely will need a location when we are in New York.
Boom.
What else are we doing while we're in New York? What is there going to be like something we're doing there?
Well, there's a restaurant in Central Park called the Boathouse.
Come on, bro. You know what I'm talking about.
We're gonna go there.
You're going to be on Bloomberg.
We're going to be on Bloomberg, possibly some other press as well. So our publicist, we're still getting these things
for the show
locked up. Yes, but Pace and I will be doing a little bit of a press tour in New York while we're out there.
Suits?
I will. I actually have suits now.
You guys are looking dapper. I'll tell you what. Pace with his tight white pants and that.
Honestly,
bro, on me, those are just called pants.
But Pace was so handsome on the 10X stage there that somebody actually threw a bra at us.
Oh, look at that.
There you go.
All right.
I can't remember the guy's name, but it was his wife's bra.
It's Miami.
Yeah, it was Miami.
You know, whatever.
Yeah. It was an incredible experience, and we're gonna keep it going. So April, guys, April 4th, the week of April 4th, expect us in New York.
Yeah, and guys, just remember, we're here in Phoenix, and there's like a Phoenix thing, and there's a Phoenix vibe, and everybody can do this in every city. Right. Everybody can get loud. Everybody can turn around their phone and document their journey, even if you're starting out, even if you don't know what earnest money is, even if you don't have earnest money, you can turn around and be like, I learned about this new Gator thing, right? Even if you don't know, you've never talked to a private money lender, film yourself calling a hard money lender for the first time. People are doing this and blowing up. And when they blow up, people bring them deals. You understand that? Like, if you show that you have genuine enthusiasm and passion for this business, and that you're willing to put your mistakes out there and just show the world that this is just the journey you're going on, one, you get to look back on it fondly, but two, all of a sudden people start like pumping you up and cheering you up and like getting excited about what you've got going on. And it's just different, right? It's just different. People get to step into your life for a second and be like, oh my gosh, they're really doing something amazing. I want to be around this person. And then all of a sudden you're going through a book, a Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Somebody reads that for the first time. They become your business partner and you make $50, $500 million together, whatever it is. It's how these stories come about. It's how all of this comes about. You got to be brave. You got to be loud, and you got to be focused, and just focus on ugly houses and big deals. That's what you're looking for in the beginning. Ugly houses, big deals. And if you run into somebody that doesn't like your price, find somebody in Pace's group that knows how to do creative financing and work with them, match up with them, partner up with them, and find a way to do a deal. You could literally do a deal on every single lead if you knew all the different strategies. It's just in the beginning, you don't know how to recognize potential. And that's the different levels to this game. The real estate investing game is recognizing the potential. There are people in your marketplace that you could have a conversation right now that could add to your levels right now. You just have to be proactive. You have to be out there. You have to be loud, and you got to be focused. You do that.
Here, let me tell you something really quick about social media. All you people that are afraid to post on social media, here are the 3 things that I'm looking for on social media every time I post. Every time I post. Even when I'm posting about my kids, my wife, my this, that, whatever, I want people to know who the real person is, because people want to do business with people they know, right? They like and they trust. Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm looking for 3 things when I post on social media, and I'm getting loud like Brent is talking about. Number 1, pretty obvious. I'm looking for deals. All right. In fact, I have so many deals just in my DMs and my email, I can't even keep up with them. So the second thing I'm looking for in social media is recruiting.
Yes.
Okay. I made a job post on an Instagram story today. I have probably over 1,200 DMs for that one position.
What's the position, Pace?
The position was to go through my DMs, literally live in my DMs and my emails, and just filter through and talk to people all day long about their leads.
Love it.
So does that mean I've got to stop sending you those pictures?
Yeah, no, you can keep sending me those pictures.
Okay. Just check.
So that's number 2, is it's not just recruiting people, it's recruiting business opportunities. There's so many things that have come to me because of business opportunities. So number 1, getting deals. Number 2, recruiting anything and everything. Okay. And anybody. And the third thing I'm looking for with social media is what am I trying to get? Private money. I'm trying to get private money. Those are the only 3 things you should be looking for on social media. And if you guys are out there like, I don't have any knowledge. I don't have this. What service can I provide? Guys, you all have an advantage over all 4 of us on this screen. People really don't want to hear about a guy like Pace who's done thousands of deals, and Jamil's who's done tens of thousands of deals, and Brent who freaking does 10,000 deals a day, and Ryan Zolan who almost bought a Ferrari but didn't. You guys really don't want to.
Hey, it's still in his mind, I bet. It's still in there, right? I know it is.
It's not.
It's okay if you buy one. I'm just teasing. But here's the thing that people really need. People need the nitty gritty, the ugly parts of this business. They need to see other people going through the failures and the calls and the things. 100%. And you will get so much traction by not trying to be the perfect person and the perfect sales pitch and closing every deal. In fact, Munif, as you guys all know, who got second place in the Closers Olympics this year, Munif asked me, he said, Pace, what's your best advice for me right now? I go, start a Twitch stream right now and let people watch you make mistakes all day long in your business and call it the takeaway. And he's like, why would I call it the takeaway? And I said, because you want to give them one thing to take away every single day by watching you work. He didn't have to be the guy had a pipeline full of deals. And guess what? He tried to get into wholesale for 2 years. He mortgaged his house. He got a line of equity against his house to go and pay for a bunch of not great mentorships. He then learns the things that we all teach on this screen. But then he started streaming on Twitch. 5 months later, quit his job, has a pipeline full of Airbnbs, all through creative finance, raising private capital, doing all this stuff. Social media is the business card of the modern era. If you don't use social media, that's like McDonald's taking down the Golden Arch. How dare you try and sell a McDonald's or a Big Mac without any golden arches and your name anywhere? I would drive right back past your building, not even knowing what the hell you do. So if you're not using social media and you're not telling people what you're up to, you're missing out on deals, business opportunities, and private money.
Love it. Ryan, tell everybody about our show on Thursday. Who's coming on?
Ooh, yeah. So speaking of private money, part of what I've done is like my mission is it's not even just because of the show Millionaire Before 30. This is kind of what connected Brent and I, was that I want to make a direct impact on the younger generation. Now, the best way to do that is to be getting around the guys that are younger that have money. So we've kind of fallen into some cool opportunities with NFL athletes. So shout out to the guy, Anthony, on my team. His brother actually plays in the NFL, but we now have connections to NFL, NBA, and MLB. And we are super excited that Jeremy McNichols on the Tennessee Titans is going to be coming onto the show Millionaire Before 30 on Thursday. He is going to be talking about how he like just mindset of being a professional athlete, talk about some cool stories. I mean, he's Derrick Henry's backup, on top of how he invests into real estate. So rather than just going and blowing the money, he's got a few rental properties and he wants to do more. So he's actually coming out to meet with me and the team to go through some of our properties we're doing to kind of see our processes and then take that back to some of the other athletes.
Awesome. When you guys are with him, can you ask him why he doesn't play for the Rams?
Right.
Did he used to?
No, just because the Rams are the best.
Oh, okay.
He wants the Rams.
Okay. So
that'll be my first question.
Hey, Jamil wants to know why you don't play for the Rams.
He's like, contracts?
Well, frick. Because they didn't draft me.
Yeah.
They didn't.
Guys, that is at Thursday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We also have on Wednesday, I've got a live show, 2 hours answering all of your questions about wholesaling, real estate investing, and building wealth. 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, Brent Daniels' YouTube channel. Jamil, what is your Friday event and Sunday?
Sunday, I will be doing Straight Outta Compton.
Of course.
And you guys can catch me there. And then Ryan and I are putting up, we're doing a live on my YouTube in a couple of weeks. We're really going to promote it. Okay. Yeah, we're going to promote it because I want as many folks to be there as possible. We're going to just do a deep dive into this whole MLS, the whole on-market MLS approach to deals. There are questions here that I think we'd love to answer. One of them being, do you only do assignments or do you double close on market deals? Questions like that will be answered on that live stream. So make sure you tune in. And if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, do that. I noticed I've got some new people on today's live. So I appreciate you guys tuning in and continue to do so because we are here every Monday at the same time, 5 p.m. Arizona time on Wholesale Hotline, baby. What up, Pace? When are you doing your stuff?
Same time, as always. You guys are the best.
You're the best.
New Jersey and New York. Melissa says, Pace, I'm in New Jersey. I can't miss this. Guys, please don't miss this, because what's so funny is Jamil and I are coming out, and somebody like maybe 15 minutes ago goes, when are you guys coming to Atlanta? What? We just had a 350 person meetup that cost us $7,000.
Right.
Like 2 weeks ago. Literally, we rented out the whole entire bowling alley, spent $7,000 to have 350 people come out, and you show up 2 weeks later and go, when are you guys coming to Atlanta? Do not miss out on New Jersey and New York, guys. We're going to do it big. We have really, really struggled to get out there because of weather or COVID or whatever reason. So please, only thing I care about you caring about is Jamil and I going out to Jersey and New York and doing it big, hanging out. Jamil, do they have to be sub 2 or Astro or TTP students to hang out with us in New York?
No. In fact, we want everybody from the community to come out. But here's the deal, guys. If you are on the East Coast and you're and you might need to travel an hour or 2 hours, do it. Do it. Here's why. Because we've been trying to get out to New York for 2 years.
2 years, yep.
And it's just happening right now. So it's not happening again for a while. Our lives are getting busier. Things are getting crazier. Please don't wait, because you never know.
Never know. Get out there, guys. Awesome. Wholesale Hotline. Ryan crushed it. Thank you so much, brother. I'll see you Thursday. Love you guys all. Hope to see you Wednesday. That's it. We are out of here.
Holla, baby. Woo!
Later, guys.
And
Pace is in a meeting. Thanks, Ryan. Awesome job, buddy. Oh, he's gone. All right. See you, bud. Love you, man.
Or just say squat up.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
1, 2, 3.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
What are you doing?
I didn't say nothing.
Why?
I don't know.
Okay.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
Cool. I think we should use the one where Jamil doesn't say anything.